Hello and welcome to a brand new episode from the Menlo Park Veterinary Recruitment Podcast. Today is the first in a new series we're doing of actual frequently asked quickfire questions. And I'm joined today by my wonderful colleague Olivia. Olivia, can you just tell our listeners a little bit about you?
Hello, my name's Olivia. I support the Locum veterinary desk. We have been more focused on helping with more permanent solutions up until recently, but excitingly, we are now helping practices with their locum needs as well. So, hence why I'm here today with
Absolutely.
Kieran.
Brilliant. So, the aim of today's podcast for our listeners is that we're just going to go through some frequently asked questions, quick-fire questions that Olivia frequently gets from locum vets. So we'll jump straight into it. So the first question, Olivia, how do pay rates vary depending on a vet's experience, location, or type of practice?
Yeah, so it can vary depending on a few different factors, I suppose. The first one could be if a vet is consult only. It can differ the pay rate to that of a vet who may do both consults and surgery, for instance. Also, if a vet could be more surgically advanced or might hold more certificates, this may vary it just due to their experience and expertise, really. I think the main other thing would be down to location. It can have a holding sometimes with the pay rate. So, for example, the south of England may look to pay in slightly more than the north. Could be different practice to practice, but typically this can just be due to cost of living, just being different in both segments of the UK. Additionally, if a vet may be travelling to stay in a different part of the UK whilst undertaking some locum work, a practice may look to providing an accommodation fee to help with the costing. It may be separate to the day rate or might be included. Yet again, depends on the practice, that can vary, but that can just help general costing, so it may not eat too much into a vet's overall rate and other travel expenses as well. But yeah, I'd say those would be the main two answers for that one.
Brilliant. Brilliant. Thank you for that. Um, question two. What factors are driving more vets to consider locum work over permanent roles?
I think the main reason I would come across is the flexibility that locum work can offer. It can help with so many different aspects of an individual's life, mainly people may say around the family, school runs, school activities, just general things which are more family orientated. Sometimes your typical 9 to 5 role or whatever the practice you're working in, what their timescales are, it doesn't always work with some
No.
people's lives. It does give you flexibility to be able to take time off without having to plan around other colleagues as well, because you only really have to think about yourself. You're also not restricted to how long off you may have as well. For some people whose family may be in other parts of the world, for instance, they aren't restricted just to only having 1 or 2 weeks off at a time. They may be able to take a month or two off at a time if they're able to.
Mm.
Another thing would be the fluidity as well. Sometimes vets do say they like to move around to different parts of the UK or different practices and not just be solely based at one practice for, say, 6 months at a time. This could be for a number of different reasons, but the main ones I tend to get would be for experiences and exposures to different settings. It just passes the ball back into the vet's court of having more control over how they want to work and where they want to work. Lastly, another point would be how full on a vet's role can be, which unfortunately can lead to burnout.
Mm.
I think the flexibility and control that a vet has as a locum, it can mean that you have more of a say on what your boundaries are. You know what's best for you, and nothing encroaches on that because you have the free will to say yes or no to the opportunities being presented to you. And
Absolutely.
hopefully that may then mean that a vet isn't getting burnout from the work they're doing.
Brilliant. Thank you for that, Liv. So, in terms of the third question I want to ask you, how do we, as recruiters, make sure we're matching the right locum to the right practice?
The main thing would be listening, and it sounds so simple to say, but asking the right questions over what preferences a locum vet has, down to things like commute time, their payment vehicle, what they're overall looking for in the next locum role,
Mm.
etc. It can give so much detail. And it also works the other way when it comes to a practice reaching out to us about a locum assignment as well, that needing help with, just by listening to what both sides want and asking the right questions. It does provide us with all the answers we need to be able to get that right fit for, yet again, both the vet and the practice.
Absolutely. Brilliant. The fourth question: what do we at Menlo Park Veterinary do differently to make the process smoother for both vets and practices?
There's a few different things. One would be the managing of compliance on behalf of the practice. It can be a big factor to consider at times. So by us doing it, it allows the practice managers to be able to focus their time on other areas that need their attention. We really thoroughly screen vets as well before we present them to any practices. We do this as there's so much more to ask a vet than just what a CV says. So
Yeah.
we really do try and cover every basis, every scenario as possible, uh, just to make sure we're really pinpointing what this individual is looking for. Likewise, for a practice, we go into an incredibly detailed conversation when taking a role on. So yet again, we know what this practice really is looking for.
Yeah.
It's a really thorough process that helps establish what both sides are needing, which can overall help with time saving as well. We aren't wasting both the practice's time and the vet's time giving the wrong options. Another thing would be also, we are very value driven opposed to everything being just transactional. It's not just about filling gaps with just anyone. We really do work hard at presenting the best options of fit for each side. It's even the case as well with anything that's last minute. We never compromise on being value driven.
Mm.
Also, as well, such a simple one, but just having really clear communication and being consistent with that through all the steps of the process. It just means that the practice and vet, they both know what they're expecting. There'll be no surprises along the way for either side. And it just helps, enforce trust as well, that we are here to help them with their needs and what they are looking for, and to be able to obtain as much of that as possible.
Fantastic. Brilliant. Thank you for that. Great answer. And the last question for today's episode: do you see demand for locum vets continuing to rise in the future?
Yeah, certainly. I mean, there'll always be a sickness cover, annual leave cover, maternity gaps that practices will always need to look for some alternative cover for. Practices will always need to have locum vets in their practice pool to be able to reach out to for these instances, and any others that may arise as well. Also, I do think we're in a time where a lot more people seem to be having a lot more animals. So the demand isn't decreasing, it's
No.
constantly going up. So
Yeah.
the access to vets for patients, it will always be there. It's continuing to be there. It will only rise being there. And I know there's been a rise since COVID lockdown, with people getting animals. And I think that's just still on the up as well. So
Mm.
I think those 2 points alone will always make a need for a practice to continue to need to look at locum vet cover.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Fantastic. Well, Olivia, thank you so much for taking the time to go through these questions with me today. I really do appreciate it. I'm sure that our listeners will appreciate it too. If anybody wants to get in touch with Olivia, all of her contact details will be attached to this podcast in all the usual places. And I'd like to take the chance to say thank you again, Olivia, for joining me today. I'm sure we'll end up doing another episode at some point.
Definitely. Thank you.
Lovely. Take care, listeners. Bye bye.
Bye.